Halloween was just around the corner, and like most teens my age, I didn't want to admit that I was starting to outgrow trick-or-treating. My friends insisted we still do it one last time, and I agreed. But what I didn't know was that this Halloween would stick with me for the rest of my life. The night before Halloween, my two friends, Ryan and Chris, came over to spend the night. My parents had recently finished remodeling our attic into a hangout space, and we decided that's where we'd stay. The attic had low ceilings, old wooden beams, and one tiny window overlooking the backyard. The staircase creaked with every step, and since the light up there had to be turned on by a pull chain, the shadows always seemed darker than they should have been. We stocked up on snacks, queued up a bunch of scary movies, and settled in for the night. Around midnight, while watching The Conjuring, we heard something strange. 3 slow knocks on the wall behind us. At first, we laughed it off, thinking it was just the old house settling. But then it happened again. This time, it was louder, and it felt deliberate. Ryan paused the movie, and we sat there in silence, waiting. Nothing. No footsteps, no creaking, just silence. We brushed it off and hit play again, but I noticed Chris glancing nervously at the window. It was small and square, just above where we were sitting. The attic overlooked the backyard, but from where we sat, the darkness outside seemed endless. About 20 minutes later, it happened again. Knock, knock, knock. But this time it came from the window. We all froze. Slowly, Ryan got up and pulled the curtain back. Nothing. Just blackness. No trees. No branches that could be hitting the glass. Just an empty backyard under a moonless sky. We tried to laugh it off, but the mood had shifted. The attic suddenly felt colder. I suggested we move back downstairs to the living room, but Ryan insisted we stay. It was Halloween weekend, after all, and this was supposed to be fun. Eventually, everyone fell asleep, except for me. I lay there, scrolling on my phone, when I heard the soft scrape of something outside the window. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but then it came again. A faint, dragging noise across the glass. I didn't dare move. I just stared at the dark window, waiting for something, anything. Then for just a split second, I saw it. The faint outline of a face pressed against the glass. I jolted upright, but when I blinked, it was gone. I told myself I was imagining things, that my brain was playing tricks on me. But deep down, I knew what I saw. The next night was Halloween. After trick-or-treating with Ryan and Chris, they both went home, and my girlfriend Emma came over. We dumped our candy on the living room floor, laughing about the night when the power suddenly went out. The house was silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator dying down. I checked my phone. No storm, no wind, nothing that should have caused an outage. Emma clung to me, insisting we stay in the living room. But I knew the fuse box was in the basement. I grabbed a flashlight and told her to stay put. As I made my way down the creaky basement stairs, I felt that same heavy silence from the attic the night before. When I reached the bottom, the beam of my flashlight caught something that made my stomach drop. The basement window was wide open. I knew for a fact it had been locked earlier. A chill ran down my spine as I scanned the room. That's when I heard it. Soft, slow footsteps above me, coming from the living room where Emma was waiting. I bolted up the stairs and found Emma standing frozen in the corner. Her eyes were locked on the sliding glass door that led to the backyard. Through the glass, a figure stood, motionless. He wore a dirty clown mask and ordinary jeans and a hoodie. Nothing else. Just that mask. He didn't move, didn't wave, didn't speak. He just stared at us through the glass. Emma started crying, begging me to lock the door. But I realized with horror that the lock was already broken. Before I could even react, the figure slammed his hand against the glass. Emma screamed, and I pulled her back as the glass rattled in its frame. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, my hands shaking as I tried to explain what was happening. The dispatcher told me to stay on the line and that officers were on the way. But when I looked back at the door, the clown was gone. Just an empty backyard under the pale glow of the streetlight. Minutes passed like hours. We didn't dare move. Then, from upstairs, came the sound of footsteps. Slow, heavy, deliberate footsteps moving across the floor above us. My heart sank. Whoever it was, they were inside the house. I whispered to Emma to stay quiet as we ducked behind the couch. I could hear the footsteps moving toward the staircase that led down to us. The floorboards creaked with every step, closer and closer. Then, silence. I held my breath, waiting. Seconds later, the basement door handle started to rattle. Slowly at first, then violently, like someone was trying to rip it off the hinges. Emma buried her face into my chest, trembling. I gripped the nearest thing I could find, a broken pool cue, and braced myself. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. The handle went still. The silence that followed was unbearable. That's when the sound of sirens echoed in the distance, growing louder. Red and blue lights flashed through the basement window, and relief washed over me. I sprinted upstairs as officers burst through the front door. I told them someone had broken in, but after searching the entire house and yard, they found nothing. No footprints, no signs of forced entry, nothing to prove that anyone had been there. But Emma and I knew what we saw. To this day, I can still picture that mask pressed against the glass, those silent footsteps moving above us, and worst of all, I never saw anyone leave. Sometimes I wonder if he's still out there,